Yes, welcome to Come Well to another show, another episode entitled Am I as I Am, as You Are. Today's topic in question is this the death of common sense? Are we living in the times and the days witnessing the death of what we know or what we once knew as common sense? Someone actually just having common sense to hold a conversation for correct communication. Before I go into today's video, just something for everybody to keep in mind. My subconscious subscribers, my supporters, appreciate it. Um, Once again, thank you for coming in and joining us for today's session, as well as also participating for the Zoom channel, for the Zoom meetings, Zoom consultations. Always available during the weekend. And for you guys that watch this, particularly specific ones, we'll be holding Zoom session today as well. Throw me the information so I can send you a link and make this happen as we usually do. Before I go into today's video, I just want to just make this clear about my shows and this channel, what this channel is specifically about and pertains to. Remember, my show's purpose is only to provide points to make you think. Most importantly, to make you begin thinking for yourself, to flower the mind within. It is your responsibility to begin watering it from that point forward. And as it begins to grow, you begin to know. That's the whole point of my platform and all my videos, to see if people still have common sense. To see if people can still think for themselves. Because it seems like today's days, you can't hold a conversation with the average anyone. A conversation based upon common sense. The definition of common sense, dictionary definition first of common sense, is the ability to think, the ability to behave in a reasonable way and to make good decisions. Good sense and sound judgment in practical matters. Which basically means to be logical, reasonable, reasoning, sensible, rational, good, valid, solid. Okay? Now, this is the dictionary definition of what common sense is, which basically means just to damn think. Do you think? Or do you thought skip? It's a big difference. Think, or you either thought skip. From one thought to the next, from one thought to the next. That's not thinking. Thought is a past thing. Thinking is a present phenomenon. I have to call it phenomenon nowadays because it's not even natural. It's not even normal to think. It's not popular to think. In order to have common sense, you have to think. You cannot think without common sense. Okay? Now, the metaphysical interpretation of the dictionary definition of common sense would be, in order to think, you must have a mind, or else you're just skipping from one thought to another. And thought skipping is not thinking. The word common, metaphysical interpretation from a metaphysical point of view, just means usual, majority agreed, collectively agreed, known, a reoccurring evidence everywhere in everything. It's logical to look at two things that look like each other or favor each other or connect with each other or relate to each other in some way and say, they are definitely related in some way. They are definitely connected in some way. This is what a person does with common sense, who can think, who has a mind, or who has cultivated and activated and opened and accessed their mind. They say, when you bring up two things that obviously are related, like somebody may say, for example, my God or my Lord or who I worship, they had this birthday, this time, this date, and was in this way or in this manner at a certain time that they were given, according to the information. And you say, oh, okay, wow, that's interesting. Because I know about 15 other gods or deities or lords that you worship, the same one that you worship. I know about maybe 10 plus more that were born on the same day, did the same things, thought the same way, had the same movement, and even their names are kind of related. But what I'm talking about is about 5 to 10 to 20 to 30,000 to 50,000 years older than the God or the Lord or the deity that you worship. How do you think about that? What do you think about that? A person with common sense who knows how to think because they access their mind responds in this manner. What you said is definitely related in some way. That's very interesting. That caught my attention. Really? Can you show me that evidence? Can you show me what you're talking about? Who are these gods' names? What are these deities' names? On the same day as my God, as my Lord, as my deity, as the same thing that I worship, they did the same thing as the same deity that I worship. Really? Wow. And what date was that? Wow, that's before my date. That is very, very interesting. That caught my attention. That's very interesting. I'm going to have to look into that because it's definitely connected. There's definitely a connection somewhere. There is definitely a relation of what you're talking about and what I brought up. Well, I thought my God was the oldest. I thought my God or my Lord or my deity was the first one to start what it is that I worship. I didn't know that there was other gods before that or other deifications before that that did the same exact thing. You know what? I may have to look into that before I look into mine because if that predates what I'm bringing to you, then I'm going to have to do some research on it. Because that may mean that my thing is shaky. It may not be the correct one. And it looks like that what I worship, where I came from, what I'm thinking, came from what you're talking about. So I'm going to have to look into that. That's what common sense does. Somebody with common sense. Somebody who can think, who's not afraid to think. See the difference? So they say I'm going to definitely have to look into that because it's definitely connected in some way, whether I understand how they're related and connected or not. There's definitely a bridge between them, and I have to find out where that connection is. That's how someone with common sense responds to someone else who may have a deeper knowledge or gnosis of something that they have brought to their attention. This is how I learn. This is how other people learn. When you find something which predates what you have been following or what you believe in, you have to go towards that. It's just common sense. There's no other way to look at it. There's no other way around it. If you're into me and I say, well, guess what? I came from my mother. You say, oh, okay, let me find out who your mother is. And I'm saying, well, guess I also came from my father. Common sense says, okay, well, let me go see who your father is. Let me say, well, hold on a second. My father and my mother came from grandparents. And you say, okay, well, let me see how the grandparents are to figure out your mother and your father to figure out something about you. And I say, well, hold on, my grandparents I have great grandparents before my grandparents that made my grandparents. And you say, oh, really? Let me find out the great grandparents to find out your grandparents, how they had your mother and your father, or your mother's grandparents and your father's grandparents, to see what kind of mindset and upbringing that they raised you on. It's just common sense. To find out the primal beginnings, just as we do ancestry and people are passing their blood down to see what they're connected to, ancestry or 123 or whatever you call these damn things, where people give their blood to these places to find out what they are actually connected to, ancestral, from an ancestral point of view, the oldest point of view. Why do we study? Why do we research? We're trying to find out the very beginnings, the very primordial beginnings of our people, of our genetics, of our lineage, of our cultures. Why would you stop somewhere? If you find something that predates wherever you stopped at, you need to go to that predation. And you find something beyond that predation, you need to go to that predation. And so on and so on and so on. If you are a true researcher and studier of the Gnosis, and you really, truly, and deeply want to know, once again, you need common sense. Common sense is to never deny, abandon, or neglect that which catches your attention and or holds your interest. And then to find out more about that thing to take you further for more clarity and understanding of it. This in turn points to the spirit. The spirit chaperones you to the soul, and the soul directs you to the heart to experience the middle path where you are not picking sides. What's good and what's bad, what's pure and what's evil, what's right and what's wrong. This is what halts someone from tapping into their common sense. Judgment stops common sense. If you are researching and studying, then you are looking and seeking to understand. You can't understand something once you begin judging that something. Judging stops understanding. I'm giving you the keys to the locks to unlock these locks in your brain. It is your brain that stops you from accessing your mind. But the bridge from the brain to the mind is the bridge of common sense. This is how you get to your mind. This is how you acknowledge your mind, how you open your mind, how you activate your mind, how you access your mind. The brain is here, the mind is here. How do I get from the brain to the mind? You have to cross the bridge of common sense, which means you have to let go of judgment. Judgment kills understanding. And the more deeper you go into it, you're going to find out, the more deeper you study into the ancient mythology of things, there really is no form of judgment. It's just, there's no judging to that degree. They're just telling you certain deifications that have certain powers and principles and qualities. Something cancels out the other, one adds to the other. Something subtracts the other. You see, this is, the deeper you go, the more you find out that judgment doesn't exist. These are just gods or deities or deifications expressing their capabilities or their qualities or their principle. This is the god of fire. That is the goddess of wind. You see, that's the god of water. That's the goddess of the heavens. Light, darkness. That has nothing to do with judgments. And certain stories are made to have a judgment basis because it's trying to make you judge. When you start to judge, you get stuck in the brain. You get stuck in the brain. Therefore, you are thought skipping. You are not thinking. Therefore, you can't access the common sense. And common sense resides, if I were to bring it to a biological point of view, because not only am I a certified metaphysical psychologist, but I'm also a science biologist. In biology with the brain, or the anatomy of the human body, in the brain, the anatomy of the brain, common sense resides in the frontal lobe and the cerebrum. So judgment, along with belief, shuts down the frontal lobe and cerebrum. These things are needed to integrate information, to think and ponder for a minute with it, to be quiet and silent with it and still with it, to see if it finds home and residence somewhere within your being. And when it does, you begin to think. You start to think. Now you are thinking. And thinking unlocks common sense. Or having common sense unlocks thinking. And thinking starts to pull you deeper and deeper into the existence of your mind. And then you acknowledge and say, oh shit, I have a mind. And when you cross that bridge from the brain and you cross that bridge over to the mind, the brain becomes dormant, just falls flat. And you use it for when you want to use it for whatever you got to use it for. But it's no longer relevant. It's no longer the default which you operate and function on. The mind is now the default nature which you operate and which you function on, because you have crossed that bridge of common sense, because you began thinking. You stopped for a minute and paused and pondered with a deeper information of what you once knew, deeper than what you know. You pondered with it. You didn't judge it. You see? This is not a damn courtroom. You're not a judge. This is life and existence. If you want to understand, you have to cancel out judgments. Only if you want to understand. But like I said, judgment and belief, according to biology, in the brain, the anatomy of the brain, it shuts down your frontal lobe. Your frontal lobe is there for refreshing, for a new thought or a new way of thinking. Pardon me, there's no such thing as a new thought. Because if I say right now, I learned this in metaphysics, in our class of metaphysics, when I went to a university. And he said, think of a thought which have never been thought before. If I tell you, think of a thought which has never been thought before, you can't think of it. So, because every thought is of the past. But the frontal lobe is the part where thinking, it's the freedom apparatus. It's like the mind is the free apparatus and the brain is the entrapping thing. It's a free apparatus that begins to let you think freely, and you begin to think. And now you are thinking about what I just told you, which predates what you just shared with me. And you're taking that in for a minute. You're saying, okay, that's just caught my attention, and that's fucking interesting what you just shared with me. I have to look into that. You see? You begin to think. And common sense is activated. Which means there is no two sides of the brain anymore. The left hemisphere and the right hemisphere is only there, like I told you, because of the thing in the middle called the corpus callosum. So the left hemisphere disappears, the right hemisphere disappears, and it falls into the joining of the corpus callosum, which is the thing that sprouts both clouds of the hemisphere of the brain. So the right and the wrong, the good, the bad, the pure and the evil disappear, and you just have corpus callosum intelligence, which begins to turn on the frontal lobe and the cerebrum, which transports you from the brain to the mind. But you gotta have common sense. If you have judgment or belief, then you have already shut this video off, and I don't give a damn. It's those that kept this on and those that watch this. have common sense, which means that you have access to the spirit and the soul to some degree, and your mind, which means that you are of pure transcendental or pure transcendent light. If you really want to transcend, this is how you transcend. Turn on your damn mind. The behavior of common sense is to have common courtesy, human decency, consideration, respect, to factor in obvious possibilities, to listen as much as you talk, to admit your own wrongness or wrongdoings, to always seek balance, clarity, and lightness within yourself and amongst another, to seek solutions and resolve rather than problem stating. This is what someone with common sense, how they function and how they operate. This is their nature. This is the nature of common sense. If you want to go into this deeper, once again, hit me on the email with your information, or we can go into a Zoom channel, or I can go very innate with this info and this gnosis. I only give with so much on the YouTube channel. People that, like I said, that have my Zoom consultations are blown. They're shocked. Like, how do you know all of this? Or why wouldn't you touch upon all this in your YouTube channel? On public display, I said only certain things are meant for public display. Deeper teachings are meant for private engagement. Okay? Next doorway is, to have common sense is to be probable, to be of maybe and might be. Maybe that's right. That might be correct. I'm going to have to look into that. To factor in possibility. Maybe I'm wrong, possibly. Maybe what you're saying is correct, possibly. This is why prejudiceness and judgment ain't the great faculties for an individual seeking gnosis or higher learning to function. Because judging or prejudging surpasses the possibility for understanding, and it immediately turns into a chemical reaction. And now that chemical reaction becomes a part of your program or programmic mindset. It is to be of common sense is to be of understanding of air and water. To be of judgment is to be of fire and earth. Water can move earth and air can put out fire. So it's best to seek understanding first. Understand what I just said. To be of understanding is to be of air and water. You're forever flowing. To understand is to be of air and water. We're talking about elemental nature, elements. To be understanding is to be of air and water. To be of judgment is to be of fire and earth. Now, water can move earth, and air can put out fire. So, it's obvious that it's best to seek understanding first. Seek the elements, the two elements, water and air, that can put out fire and earth. Fire, of course, and earth is judgment. Fire is getting pissed off, getting heated, getting mad. No, that can't be right, because my God is the best God ever. My deity, my Lord says that this is that and that is this, and I'm not listening to what you're saying, even though what you're saying and the facts that you're bringing to me are 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 year fathom older than what I'm telling you. I don't care. I don't want to listen to it. That's fire. You're getting hot. You're getting heated. You're perspirating. Your underarms are getting moist. Your skin is getting hot. And earth is the body. You become trapped in the body. The earth is the personality, the identity, the ego. So to be of judgment is to be of fire and earth. Understanding is air and water. Because I'm just flowing. I'm just giving to you a deeper understanding and a deeper gnosis. As you call yourself a seeker, or someone who wants to know, or someone who seeks to understand the deepest aspects of this reality, deeper histories and mysteries. of this reality. I'm just flowing with you. I'm just sharing something with you. I'm not getting heated. I'm not getting mad. Even when you share with me, whoever your God is, from whatever religion or whatever belief, I'm going to listen. But when I camel back and I give you something to attach to that and say, well, that's interesting what you say, because I know of a God or a deity or a deification or a person with almost the same name or the same letters in the name or the same number of letters in their name as your God and your deity. And where you say your God was from, guess what? There's a God that's from there as well that's older than what you're talking about. And you look into that God and deification, you check that out. Your God did what? Your Lord did what? Wow, that's so interesting because I know of this deification and these people and this tribe that uh, had these deifications and these gods and this spiritual system that is very similar and did the same exact, almost the same exact things as the God or the deity or the Lord that you're talking about. Want to look into it? It's that simple. You see anger coming from me? See me getting pissed off, like, no, I don't care about your God. No, my book says, that, and my Lord says that you can't listen to everybody because I didn't do any of that. We're here to listen. We're here to communicate. We're human beings. How can you not listen to somebody? Then you are not being human. You're not being of your human nature. You're a disgrace to humanity. When you can't listen, because we come in this life to connect, to communicate, to listen, and to talk. When you stop listening and you put judgment in front of understanding, you put judgment in front of communication, you put judgment in front of listening, then you are not a true human being. You are not living out your true human nature. You are not for the sake of humanity. Therefore, you are not trying to access the true core, the true atomic nucleus of your spirit. You are not trying to meet the soul. You are not trying to access your heart. And you call yourself a human being. Remember, human being. You can be human, but where's your beingness? Because human just means doing. Being means being. So, doing, being. You're doing a lot. You're getting angry, you're getting pissed off, you're getting mad, you're judging me and what I'm telling you. When are you just going to be and let the air flow to you and be like water in return as a counteracting intelligence? Why do you have to be of fire and earth? Be of air and water. You are already of fire. You have a temperature in the body, 98.6. Earth is the skin in the body, the bone and the organ. You're already fire and earth. Give a little attention to be air and water, to be the eliminating qualities of the elemental intelligence, according to the factors of elements, the elemental factor. Okay? Next doorway is why judge? This is the experience of life, not a courtroom. When you receive understanding, you begin to see the irrelevance and the illusion of judgment or judging. Because you know you already have a built-in informing system or a built-in alert system when something isn't right or conducive for your well-being. So why are you judging something? You already have a built-in system, an informing system, a system, internal system which informs you of something or alerts you of something when something is not in its proper place or something just isn't meant to be. For example, if you get stabbed by a knife, you do not have to go to school to learn to say ouch, or to learn that it hurts, or to learn that pain and discomfort arrives immediately after. You just immediately feel and know what's what in that very moment instantly, instantaneously, simultaneously. And when the body says ouch, or somebody gets stabbed and they get hurt or pain and discomfort arise, that's not judgment. That's your internal informing alert system. You see? This shows the irrelevance of judging or judgments. That's not the body judging the knife, or the body judging the point of the knife, or the body judging the pain, or the body judging the hurt, or the body judging discomfort. It is an alert system. It is an informing system that has nothing to do with judgment. That's just what is fact, what is real. Danger is real, fear is an illusion. And judgment, to be quite honest, judgment deals a lot with fear. You're judging me because you fear that your ground of what you stand on may be broken. But you see, a true seeker seeks their grounds to be broken because they're looking for newer grounds to stand on. Right now, you know me as a metaphysician on metaphysical psychology and dealing with the deep occult knowledge and gnosis. If you find a book, or anyone out there finds a book that says metaphysics is fake and occult wisdom was a created thing that isn't real, if you find any book or any PDF or any information out there that says metaphysics is fake or the occult wisdom was a made up thing and it ain't real, it's a hoax, send me the link to my email. Put it in the comments below the video, please, because I would love to learn that what I'm teaching or what I'm about isn't real and it's fake. If you find any proof out there, let me know. I will buy the book immediately. I will buy the book today because I am a seeker, a genuine seeker. And I want to know if what I'm talking about, what I'm doing, what I feel is genuine, may actually have some fake background to it, or something that predates what I'm doing, because I'm going to go to that which predates, and I'm going to drop my metaphysics and my occult wisdom right now. If you find something that may shake up my ground and my spiritual system or my way of gnosis, let me know. You see, this is what someone with common sense does. I have common sense. I want to know. I want to learn. I want to go as deep as possible until I can't go as deep anymore. I'm willing to drop what I have to go deeper to something that predates what I have right now in this moment, because I'm not scared. I'm a seeker. Judgment is fear. You are judging me because you are scared that I'm going to shake up your world. But I'm a seeker. A seeker seeks for their world to be shaken up and their ground to be broken. This is the difference between me and you. Not you specifically watching this video, but those who are afraid to think, those who don't have common sense, those who haven't yet cultivated and pulled out, invoked and called forth the existence and the purpose and the function of their mind. I'm not afraid to drop my world, to drop my reality. If something out there is found that is deeper than what I am teaching, show me, let me know. Okay? So once again, this is why you don't need a judging system, because your body is a built-in alert system and informing system that instantly lets you know when something should be and when something shouldn't be. That has nothing to do with judgment. That is just informing and alerting. So when you know that is most valuable, how much worth is judging or judgment? It's garbage. It's either you benefit from something or you don't benefit from something. Either you feel it's for you or you don't feel it's for you. There's no need to call what you feel for you, what you don't feel for you, good or bad. You have a built-in antenna, a built-in radar system that can automatically tell. When you are judging, you are of the brain, you are not of your minds. I can break this down ace, deuce, and tray for you in the Zoom consultation. It's so simple and it's so easy to understand. I'm only going to give but so much on my videos. You're not going to get everything that I know on the YouTube public platform, social media. It's not going to happen. So you instantly know that it hurts and you feel pain and discomfort. You just immediately feel and know what is in that very moment instantly. What does this mean? It means that you were born here fully equipped with an internal system called instinct and reaction. See, why are you saying good and bad, pure and evil, right and wrong? You have instinct and reaction, which once again makes judgment or judging look ridiculous. You have instinct and reaction. You have an informing system and an alert system. Fully equipped. You were born fully equipped with it. You have it right now. If your brain shuts down, which is where judgment resides, that's the only place judgment lives. If your brain shuts down and you become brain dead, if somebody sticks something in your body, ice pick or a knife or whatever it may be, the body is going to jump, it's going to react automatically because of the nerves, the nervous system. You have a built-in alert system and informing system. Even when judgment shut down, even when the brain becomes brain dead, for some people, certain unfortunate circumstances, situations that people may find themselves in this lifetime, the body is still on. It's still turned on. So your judgment doesn't mean a damn thing. You have to see what I'm talking about if you have common sense. If you don't have common sense, you have judgment, like I said, you a believer, you shut this video off before it even got to this point at 36 minutes and 27 seconds. It means that you were born here fully equipped with an internal system called instinct and reaction that informs you immediately of what should be and what shouldn't be. What's best for you and what's not best for you for the optimal running of the body system. And the whole catch is it's not based on judgment at all. It's based on three things: how a system runs best, the immunity of the system, and how well the system can adapt and override. That's it. The system being the body. Okay? It's not going to be a long video. Get straight to the point. The next doorway is what we know as common sense is the one intelligence piercing itself back together through the many expressions of its one nature. Meaning, if you have one truth, one Lord, one God, one deity, one story, at one time, in chronology, in time and error, and I bring up 15 other gods and deities or deifications that are very similar to the God and Lord that you worship, which had very similar names, was in the same exact place, same similar tribes, same similar mindset, did the same similar magic, or the same similar tactics, thought the same similar way, living in the same similar manner. The mind is seeking to put all these 15 along with your one to make it 16 to see its wholeness. You see? So this is the spirit and the soul and the mind seeking its wholeness. This is why you believe in one God or one deity or one Lord. We're told 15 or 18 or 20 other stories or 30 other stories, mythologies, ancient mythologies that are extremely similar to what you have just shared, which predates what you just shared, which is way, 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 way tens of thousands of years older than what you just shared. Because the soul is trying to put together its wholeness in all of its stories of similarities, all of its stories of comparison. This is what the spirit and the soul and the mind is trying to do. If you are a spiritual of nature, if you say you are spiritual and you are of the spirit, then you must seek, and you never stop seeking. See? Even if a god or a deity or a system or spiritual system of some way, ancient system, ancient technology predates your God and your Lord and your belief system hundreds of thousands of years ago, you have to go into that hundreds of thousands of years of research and study. And you have to cancel out your God and your Lord and your belief system because you know that that came from something which predated it. This is what people with common sense do. This is what people who actually think for themselves do. These are what thinkers do. Someone who can think. Someone who is thinking. This is what the frontal lobe and the cerebrum does when it's turned on, when it's activated. This is what it does. Like I said, belief and judgment shut down the frontal lobe and the cerebrum. You are finished. Okay? So you are told these stories. The reason that you even told these stories from your one God or your one belief system or whatever you follow or your one faith, the reason that you were even presented or somebody presented these many stories that were similar to yours, for the very fact that you were there and present to hear this, means that something internal was trying to talk to you to say, go there. Take me there. I'm trying to go there because those are the many stories of what you are talking about with your one thing. You need to connect your one thing to those many things because those many things are exactly the same thing that you were talking with your one thing. Go to there. I need that whole collection. I need that whole thing. I need all of that. I need all of that. I need all of that. Because I'm trying to be complete. I'm trying to find my wholeness. So people who talk this wholeness or to be holy is to be the whole thing. So you have to embrace the whole thing and make sense of it. When you make sense of it, you have made common sense. Common sense is the common thread that ties your one story to the many hundred stories. That's what common sense is. It's the common one thread that's tied to your story, that ties to the many other stories. And if those other stories predate your story, you have to drop your story and look at the other stories that are tied to that same one thread which you are tied to. Next doorway is, if you have been taught and or trained that your belief story is first and find or come across another story prior to that story that has the same context, the same practices, and the same principles as your first belief story, and you don't look into it or study it or factor your wrongness as a possibility, then you do not have common sense. You are not a thinker. You do not think. There is no thinking happening inside of you. You have no connection to your mind. Your mind is the free intelligence. It is the free apparatus. The device for freedom. If you're looking for freedom and liberation and all this that you talk about, you have to access your mind. You have to begin thinking. You have to start turning the wheels that are rusty. And it's rusty because it's been stopped and broken down from belief and judgments. You have to get it turning again. Healthy. Begin turning. Begin thinking. Turn on, activate your frontal lobe and your cerebrum. It's very, very important. You have to factor these things in. You have to. It just makes sense. How can that not make sense to you, what I just said? You are denying, you are abandoning, and you are neglecting your own spiritual liberation, your own mental freedom. You talk about freedom and liberation, and you are spiritual and this and that. That is the language of insanity in a way of understanding. Seriously. I don't care how sane you think you are. That is the language of insanity, and you need to check yourself. The next doorway is, if you see two or more ancient civilizations with the same totems, the same architecture, the same sciences, the same spiritual systems as yours, you must now use common sense to bridge the gap. Bridge the gap. Don't keep the gap separate and say, my Lord is the best. Da, 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 my belief system, my story is first. This is that. This is what I was taught, what I was trained. Da, 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 da. No, you found something which is almost exactly alike and which is older than your story. You need to open your story and connect with the older to bring it to the forefront of your mind. To be of God mind is to bridge gaps. So you're talking about I'm godly, I'm a god, I'm a goddess. No, you're not. If you're not bridging gaps, you're not being of the God mind. Because to be of the God mind is to be of the bridging of the gaps. God is connected. It is a connected phenomenon. It is a thing which is connected to itself. With there is no separation which exists within its orbit. So if you are not connecting the supposed separations or the supposed disconnections, you're not connecting them. You're not being of God. You are not godly. I don't care what you say or how you say it or what you show me. You're not operating in the mind of God. To be of God mind is to bridge gaps. Common sense is the common thread, to leave no spaces or no gaps in between this and that, to piece it all together into one monad of a one working intelligence. This is once again over and over and over again why judgment sucks. You're saying my story is bad and your story is good. You are breaking the bridge up. You're not bridging the gap. You're keeping the gaps. You're keeping gaps. You're keeping space in between things. You're not bridging things. You're keeping the gap in between things. You're not bridging things. You're not being of God-like nature. If everything is one, all is one. Everything is one. Everything's connected. There's no such thing as separation, brother. Why are you separating things then? Because they're bad and they're evil and they did this to my people and that people. We are all people. What people are you talking about? What people are you connecting yourself to? We are all people. Every single indigenous, uh, ancestral, whatever people, primal people. You are them. Whatever belief story that you are going at right now is the belief story that you chose for whatever reason according to your spiritual path, and that's fine. That's not good or bad. It is what it is at that moment in time. But life is about transformation. It's not about resisting. Judgment is a resisting thing. I'm not looking into that. I'm not reading that because my book says and my Lord says, my people say, but you're these people too. And you're those people too. And you're those people too. And you're those people too. As a matter of fact, the people that you say imprisoned you or enslaved you or who were evil or wrong or did wrongdoing to you, you're also connected to them too. Those are your people. You're all people. What story are you sticking to? You have to start bridging the gaps if you want to be of God mind. If you don't want to be of God mind, then great, you're doing a great job. Keep everything separate, but you ain't doing nothing over here. We're here to connect. You came in the body, you came in this human life to connect, not to disconnect, not to keep things separate, but to piece things together, to find the common thread. But you must first have common sense. Next doorway is common sense is the bridge between the brain and the mind, what I spoke about before. It's the possible graduation from the dimension of brain into the realm of mind. It's the graduation, the graduatory level or degree from brain into mind. The bridge is common sense and thinking. If you don't think or have common sense, you cannot get from the brain to the mind. You just remain in the brain and you judge all damn day. That's wrong. That's right. That's right. That's wrong. That's good. That's bad. That's all you do all day here in the brain. You never access the mind. Common sense. Oddity, confirmation, then insight. Uh, Common sense is oddity, then curiosity, then inquisitiveness, then search, then confirmation. And then insight is receiving. And then enlightenment is development or maturity. If you want to understand what I just said, rewind this part back and just get it and keep playing it back over until you understand what I just said. Next doorway is when you are alive, you seek light. So when you are crossing over into death, you seek darkness. Not too sure where I went with that. Pardon me for that. Let me go to the next doorway. That may have been for another video. Next doorway is the common sense is the seventh sense. It's the seventh sense. Everybody saw that movie, Sixth Sense. If you haven't, check it out. Just a spiritual sense. Common sense is the seventh sense. It's an actual sense. Common sense is an actual sense. Like you have five senses or six senses. Common sense is an actual sense. Like smell, taste, hear, touch, see. Common sense is an actual sense. It's an extra sense. Okay? It's the seventh sense, which is why it has the word sense to the title, common sense. It's something that picks up waves or picks up frequency from a parallel realm. It's something that is sent out from the mind. It's a way to help the brain find the mind. It's spirit showing itself through different mediums of experiences, events, and situations, which is what I just described to you about many different stories of the same message, same damn message, many different stories of the same damn message. It's spirit showing itself through different mediums of experiences, events, and situations. It's literally the common thread which weaves through all things as all things, connecting all things as one main thing. It leaves little to no room for disagreement, debate, denying. It is an absolute. So when you begin disagreeing with someone that shared something with you, which is almost exactly what you shared with them, when you begin debating someone that shared something with you, which is almost exactly what you shared with your belief system, when you begin denying something that someone shared with you, which is almost the exact same thing that you shared with them, which actually predates and older than what you shared with them, then you are not of common sense. Because common sense is an absolute. It is an intelligence of the absolute. It is almost impossible to disagree, debate, or deny what is being shared with you. And if you are of belief or judgment, you're going to cut that person off immediately, begin to talk over them, louder than them. You're going to get angry, you're going to get emotional, you get your feelings involved. That's judgment. That's the brain. You are stuck in the body. You are fired up. You are imprisoned in the earth. You are a prisoner of earth. You're fired up. Once again, the elements of earth and fire. You will never understand or embrace the elements that eliminate that for neutralization of the body and the mind, which is air and which is understanding. Judgment is fire and earth. Understanding is air and water. Understanding cancels out judgment. Judgment doesn't exist in the realm of understanding. If you are here to understand, I mean, you got books you're reading, right? Researching, you're studying, right? Which means that you were trying to understand. So don't fall for the belief in something or the judging in something. Because once you do that, then you have just halted your understanding and corrupted your understanding. Next doorway is the lack of common sense, creativity, and imagination. Basically, yeah, when you are of judgment, then it is the lack of common sense, creativity, and imagination. So when you are judgment and belief, you halter or you stagnate your creative nature and your imagination or your imaginative nature. Your creative nature is a free apparatus, which is once again related to the mind. Your imagination is a free apparatus, which is once again connected to the mind, not the damn brain. It's not the brain, because the brain is closed. It's closed. It's not opening. I'm judging. That's bad. That's wrong. The mind is an opening thing. This is the brain. This is the mind. You see the difference? So judging and believing, you kill your imagination and you murder your creativity. When someone shares something with you that predates what you shared with them, it is most wisest to at the very least pause and ponder with that which was shared with you. At least pause for a minute and ponder what they just shared with you. To seek a possible connection to the knowledge that was given to you. in order to make it make sense to you in some, if you are of common sense or are seeking common sense. It is okay to think. Try thinking once in a while. Am I as I am? Most importantly, as you are. See y'all next time. 1-0.